Welcome, all you sinners and sodomites, to Bible Stories for Atheists. I am Josh.
I'm Linz.
And we are your guides to the apocalyptically awful stories. Literally littering the Bible.
Literarily littering the Bible.
Wow. It's been a little bit since we recorded.
Yeah.
We fuck it. Just roll with it. Stuck and roll. This is where I'm getting to in my age.
He's 3 years younger than me, and he's already older than me.
Yeah, I am. This year, I feel like this year I leapfrogged like 5 years.
Yeah.
Last episode, we talked about Daniel. We got into the book of Daniel, and we could not fit all of it into one episode.
So much Daniel.
Bullshit. Oh, I mean Daniel. Yeah. So much.
Yes.
Here's the second helping of that.
Oh, that second helping of Daniel.
A second helping. Vitamin D for Daniel.
A second helping of D.
Double dose of D.
D's here knocking at your back door.
Getting your lines den. Anyway, sit back. What?
Yeah, that's the other one. So
strap in and strap on. So strap in and strap on for what was it? So strap in and strap on for Unigoat. We had to split this one up because Daniel, while being, I think, the shortest of the books, probably not, but one of the shortest of the books that we talk about.
You wanted to talk about everything.
And the reason for that, because I don't know if I said it in the 2 hours we recorded previously.
Part 1.
Yeah. Is that so many people out there, so many people out there consider Daniel to be the prophecy, like the prophecies in Daniel, to be the prophecies that are like, well, this proves they essentially that they could tell the future. That's what they're saying. It's
right.
You know, this proves that it's real, that it's supernatural, because they could tell the future.
Greater natural.
And hopefully it came across in the last episode, in the last part, why that's kind of bullshit. Like, they basically just aren't, they are misinterpreting the fucking hallucinations, the visions. Like, they're misrepresenting what those represented, the empires that they represented.
Oh, right.
To be,
the animals and dinosaurs and such.
I think that was, or are we talking about, oh no, this week is the ram and goat. There was the lion's den. We talked about that.
No, we talked about a fucking 4 animals.
The 4 beasts.
Yes.
That was the last thing we talked about. You're right.
And one of them was a dinosaur.
Was it a dinosaur?
Well, it sounded like one to me.
Oh, that's right, because this was the one with the 10 horns, and then there was one little horn that spoke arrogantly, and that one reminds me of Donald Trump.
The little horn?
Yeah.
Little finger.
You know what's interesting, though? So we were talking about that, but we never really finished that, actually. So I thought we were on chapter 8, but we're not. We're still on that.
I know.
And I should point out that we are recording this on
Easter.
High holy day. I was going to say 420.
Oh, a high holy day.
A high holy day.
Yeah, for sure. What fun that is, that play on words.
Yes.
Somewhere out there's a church who does believe that weed is okay, and they're having the best Easter ever.
Right? I know. Jesus is ascending to the clouds.
Today's the day where he
Yahweh
comes back to life, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good Friday was when he
Died. That's right.
That's what made Good Friday good.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Every year you bring that up, and every year I'm like, God, that's a good point.
Yeah. We looked it up once, I thought, and there was like some sort of stupid explanation as to why it was called Good Friday.
I think it's good for everybody else. I think
Yeah.
that's always my response, but I think it's true.
That it's good because he died for our sins on that day?
Yeah.
I see. But
it's not good for him.
No. And the Romans,
It was good for
this is
Romans.
we're getting
really, that's why
I was going to
it's Good
say,
Friday. It
we're
was
getting
good
off
for the
on a
Romans.
tangent here, but you brought up Easter, so here it goes.
Yeah.
Like, why is that the time in which he died for our sins? Like, the Romans killed him.
Yeah.
Like, did he literally say, as he's dying, I'm dying for your sins?
No. I mean, I don't think so in any of the versions.
He said it he said it at the Last Supper? Does he talk about how he's about
That's a good question.
Or is this
At
just
what
things
point
he
does
keeps
say?
saying, and then finally people are like, oh, he's dying for our sins?
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head if there's any point where he outright says, I'm dying for your sins. It's always going to be like parables and stuff that like is.
Or like when he's
vaguely-
begging his dad not to kill him in the garden.
Oh, yeah. Where he's sweating blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could literally just be like, as I'm dying, be like, I'm dying for your sins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something I said.
It doesn't actually mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we know he meant our sins?
Right.
How do we know he just didn't mean like their sins?
Those 12 guys that he hung out
Yeah.
with. Right. Yeah. And not the women.
No, even though they're the ones who stayed around
Right.
whilst he was dying and also put into his tomb, in which he later,
Brought his cup.
definitely brought his cup.
Yep.
Brought him a ham sandwich, probably.
Ham sandwich.
All right, probably not ham.
No, it's cool. I'm making it cool. Jesus, it's fine. I'm making ham cool again.
Listen, guys, I'm about to die. It doesn't really fucking matter whether I eat it or not.
That is kind of what Jesus ran on, wasn't it? Just better sandwiches.
I mean, he did a lot of, if anything, it would be fifth sandwiches because he had a lot of fish.
Oh, fish sandwiches.
Yeah, fifth sandwich.
What is,
It's a
what
fifth
is
sandwich.
that you're
It's a
doing?
fifth sandwich.
Can I fit that sandwich?
It's a fifth sandwich. It's actually an inside joke from my youth.
Oh, okay.
Now that I'm
This is
realizing
going out
it.
to a very special someone.
When I was in Detroit waiting in line to go see a show at the Shelter, which for those of you not from Detroit or Michigan, the Shelter is the place in 8 Mile, the Eminem movie where he does the rap battles.
Did they film it there too?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's underneath the
Orpheum?
Masonic.
Oh, the Masonic? It's under the Masonic Temple?
The music venue.
The music venue. Yeah. I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember which St. Andrews. Maybe it's St.
I've never
Andrews. I
been-
can't remember.
I've never been to either.
It's under a bigger music
Music
venue,
venue,
and then the Shelter's underneath. So we were standing in line to go see Poe,
Oh, right.
and there was
Who was playing in the Shelter,
Yes.
and somebody was playing.
Butthole
over-
Surfers
Butthole Surfers was
playing. Yes. Doesn't matter to the story. 'Cause while we were waiting in line, there was this
It
guy.
doesn't matter to the story, but it totally matters to the story. That was the Butthole Surfers playing just above Poe.
Right. We were waiting to get inside, and there was this guy panhandling for change, and his reason why he wanted to have like 98 cents or something like that. He had a very specific number he was asking people for so he could get a fifth.
Well, it was Butthole Surfers playing above Poe, so I'm guessing it was so that he could make a phone call on a payphone.
It was so he could get a fifth sandwich.
Oh.
And a cup of coffee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can I get 98 cents so I can get a fifth sandwich and a cup of coffee?
God, remember when for 98 cents you could get a fish sandwich?
Fifth.
A fifth sandwich. It's a fifth of a sandwich.
No, it's a fish sandwich. He just had a list. Terrible. I'm a terrible person. It's because I'm not religious.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's why he said it. A fifth sandwich.
I almost said Jesus people. Jesus people never. Jesus people are never insensitive culturally.
Yeah, right. But anyway, Jesus also loves fifth sandwiches.
Right.
Not so sure about the coffee.
If there was something in there that we needed to resolve in that conversation, just imagine we did. And we're going to move on.
Excellent.
All right. So we might have covered this in the last episode. And if so, I might be cutting stuff in from that. I don't know. I also might cut out this whole explanation thing.
Perfect.
So this is when we go from narratives to the actual end times predictions.
Right. Second half of Daniel.
Basically. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. You can't really tell from hearing it, but this chapter does keep going back and forth from prose to poetry, and a lot of descriptions are poetry. So it kind of looks like the prose is just kind of meant to piece together these poems, right? Like these different sections of poems. Mm-hmm. In the first year of King Belshazzar. So again, that's not Daniel, Daniel
yes.
had Belteshazzar or something.
Yeah.
This is his name. And this is Belshazzar, the king.
Yeah, we looked up why, I think, last time.
Yeah.
It means something.
They're very similar names, yeah. In the first year of King Belshazzar of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head as he lay in bed. Then he wrote down the dream. I, Daniel, saw in my vision by night the four winds of heaven stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came up out of the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Then, as I watched, its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet, like a human being. And a human mind was given to it. Another beast appeared, a second one, that looked like a bear. It was raised up on one side and had 3 tusks in its mouth among its teeth, and was told, "Arise, devour many bodies." After this, as I watched, another appeared, like a leopard. The beast had 4 wings of a bird on its back and 4 heads. So nothing like a leopard. And dominion was given to it. After this, I saw in the visions by night a 4th beast, if you're keeping track, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth and was devouring, breaking in pieces and stamping what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that preceded it, and it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns when another horn appeared, a little one, like about 1.5 inches. 3 of the original horns were plucked up from before it. There were eyes like human eyes in this horn, and a mouth speaking arrogantly. We should have either a sound of that was a note to myself. We should have either a sound.
These are sound effects to add.
Yeah, I was going to add in a sound of Trump, or I was going to do meet, like Beaker.
Oh, for it speaking arrogantly.
Yeah.
All I could think of is when you first started talking about the lion and the eagle, I kept hearing like lion and then that's all I could think about.
It's very American. lion, eagle, leopard.
The lion that with the eagle's wings that get fucking plucked off.
Yeah.
And then he stands on his feet and is given a human mind. That just sounds like Christians trying to, not Christians, whoever wrote this, Jewish people. Jewish people. Ancient Jews.
It's totally fair. Like, because we talk about it from the perspective of Christians.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Trying to explain evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way where, we picture the things crawling out of the water and then you see the transformation.
Right. Yeah.
Sped up through time. To me, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, there is something about it, about them coming out of the ocean and everything. Of course, there are a lot of ancient myths about monsters coming from the ocean and such, So the lion, I think I'm going to do this a little different than what I was planning on.
Okay.
The lion here it represents Babylon. Its transformation into a man reverses Nebuchadnezzar's transformation into a beast, as we saw before. Remember when Nebuchadnezzar went nanners?
Right.
And he went all crazy and went off. So, and the human mind may reflect his regaining sanity. The plucked wings reflect both loss of power and the transformation to a human state,
Mm-hmm.
So, it's got meaning to it. I guess.
Sure.
But that's what it's talking about with this.
Nobody was like, hey, Daniel, what did you eat before you went to bed?
Right.
Was it mushrooms?
Or some funny looking mushrooms. Some, I don't know, bat.
Some root of some sort.
Right. Yeah. Some grass. The bear represents the Medes. Which was a group that attacked Babylon. That's right, because the Medes come before the Persians. So the bear represents the Medes who go on to attack Babylon, and then the leopard, it represents Persia. The four heads may reflect the Persian kings that come up later. And then the fourth beast is the Greeks, and particularly the Seleucids of Syria. So that's the group that changed the temple over in Jerusalem and to be a temple for Zeus.
Right.
And they sacrificed a pig there and stuff like that.
Yeah. And why do they have 10 horns?
Because it's different leaders.
Okay.
Right.
And then a little one shows up.
The 10 horns, and this is from Wikipedia that I'm getting all this, by the way. The 10 horns that appear on the beast is a round number standing for the Seleucid kings between Seleucus I, the founder of the kingdom, and Antiochus Epiphanes, comparable to the feat of iron and clay in chapter 2, the succession of the kings described in chapter 11, and the succession of the kings described in chapter 11, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Gotcha.
The little horn is Antiochus himself. The three horns uprooted by the little horn reflect the fact that Antiochus was fourth in line to the throne and became king after his brother and one of his brother's sons were murdered and the second son exiled to Rome. Antiochus was responsible only for the murder of one of his nephews. So not that bad of a guy. But the author of Daniel 7 holds him responsible for all. Antiochus called himself Theos Epiphanes, God manifest, suiting the arrogant speech of the little horn.
Theos Epiphanes?
Theos Epiphanes, yeah. Epiphanes, maybe? It's
Theosophanes?
It's Epiphanes. So Epiphanes, maybe?
Epiphany? Yeah, I don't know.
Or Epiphanies, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is it two separate words?
Yes, Theos Epiphanes.
Okay.
As I watched, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient One took his throne. His clothing was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like pure wool. His what's unpure wool? His throne was fiery flames. Its wheels were burning fire. A stream of fire issued and flowed from its presence. 1,000 served him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood attending him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were opened. I watched then because of the noise of the arrogant words that the horn was speaking. And as I watched, the beast was put to death by its body, destroyed, and given over to be burned with fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. As I watched in the night visions, I saw one like a human being coming with the clouds. Yeah, coming with the cloud. 420. And he came to the Ancient One and was presented before him. To him was given dominion and glory and kingship, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that shall not pass away, and his kingship is one that shall never be destroyed. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was troubled within me. The visions of my head terrified me. Blah, blah, blah. As for these four beasts, blah, blah, blah. And then I desired to know the truth concerning the fourth beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying. So he asks an attendant to interpret this for him, because even though he's the one given the superpower to interpret dreams,
right. Just a random attendant.
Apparently, this random attendant is the one interpreting this one for him. So he says that the four beasts represent four kings that shall arise out of the earth, but the holy ones of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever.
So wait, the Ancient One, okay. So is God. Yes? No?
The Ancient One is a different figure. The Ancient One took his throne. I think, Jesus, this is the fucking shit of this that I hate, because it's like, I don't fucking know. Is that supposed to represent God? I don't think so. I think the Ancient One is representing, so Christians would say Jesus.
Okay.
But that's obviously not what Jewish people thought.
Right.
This would have been likely talking about fucking Cyrus, maybe? The Persian king.
Okay.
Let me see if I've got anything.
You just sounded like, because they talked about the Ancient One having dominion over everybody.
Right.
So I assumed they were just talking about God. Also, the description of him being dressed in pure white and with hair like pure wool just makes me think of like all of the imagery you see of God being like this old white dude.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. A lot of it comes from this stuff where that for some reason that was a big part of the imagery for that culture back then was.
His throne has wheels though. Did you?
Yeah.
I was like Professor Xavier.
Yeah. It would have been great if Jesus came to start a school for gifted youngsters.
Mutants.
So then he asked about the fourth beast to his attendant, and there's a lot of text that leads to. As for the fourth beast, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth that shall be different from the other kingdoms. It shall devour the whole earth and trample it down and break it to pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. This one shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings, blah, 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 blah.
Everyone's gonna really love all your blah 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 blahs.
It's like it just keeps going. The kingship and dominion and greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the holy ones of the Most High. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. Here the account ends. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly terrified me, and my face turned pale, but I kept the matter in mind. Many scholars have, this is again from Wikipedia, many scholars have accepted the view that the imagery of Daniel 7 comes ultimately from the Canaanite myth of Baal's battle with Yam. Yam was the god of the sea. So we've talked about Baal before, I think in this series, so I don't think we need to go over it. Although no exact prototype for this imagery exists, there are a number of parallels with the ancient myth. The 4 beasts are chaos monsters, which I think we said, which appeared as serpents in the ball. No, wait. I think
we were talking about chaos piles. Is that what you're thinking
chaos
of? Not really the same thing. Kind of.
But not the same thing. Anyway.
I remember saying the word chaos recently.
Yeah. It was like chaos and then another word. It was probably chaos monsters. We were definitely talking about chaos monsters earlier. So anyway, the 4 beasts are chaos monsters, which appeared as serpents in the Baal cycle discovered in the ruins of Ugrit. I think this is when we gave up. In Daniel 7, composed sometime before Judas Maccabeus purified the temple. Daniel 7 was composed sometime before the Maccabean revolts, where they took the temple back. So that was the 4 beasts.
Yay! Chaos monsters.
Yeah. And then we get another one with about a ram and a goat.
Okay. Do you want me to read it?
No, it's okay.
Josh is already beaten down by it.
Yeah.
We've only been doing this for 10 minutes.
I know. All right. So in chapter 8, we get the ram and the goat. In the next vision, he talks about being next to the Ulai, which is a canal. It's a canal.
Oh, I thought you were saying candle weird.
No, saying canal. I don't know.
Canal.
Like, it's one of those words when you try and say it.
Canal.
It's, yeah. Canal. See,
Canadian anal.
Yeah. Canal.
Right up the poop chute, eh?
Oh, our Canadian brothers. We do
love you.
Sisters and others, I guess. All right. In the next vision, it talks about being by the Ulai. It's a canal. It's not like important, but that's what this is. Okay.
Okay, wait. Sorry.
These notes.
I know. You made them.
I know.
So the next vision is
he mentions the Ulai.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
in his vision or
that's
prior to his vision?
No, in this vision. He mentions it. That's what it is. He's by a canal.
Okay. Canal.
Canal, excuse me. All right. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared to me, Daniel. After the one that had appeared to me at first. In the vision, I saw myself in Susa, the capital, in the province of Elam, and it was by the Ulai gate. I looked up and saw a ram standing beside the gate. It had 2 horns. Both horns were long, but one was longer than the other, and the longer one came up second. I saw the ram charging westward and northward and southward. All beasts were powerless to withstand it, and no one could rescue from its power. It did as it pleased and became strong. As I was watching, a male goat appeared from the west, coming across the face of the whole earth, without touching the ground. The goat had a horn between its eyes. It came toward the ram with 2 horns that I had seen standing beside the gate, and it ran at it with savage force. I saw it approaching the ram. It was enraged against it and struck the ram, breaking its 2 horns. The ram did not have power to. So these rams fight.
It's a ram and a goat.
It's a ram and a goat.
Which ram is
Yeah.
a goat?
Out of one of them came another horn, a little one. It was another little horn.
Out of one of them?
Out of one of them came another horn.
Oh, he's not specific about which one the new horn grew out of?
No.
Oh, maybe it's one of the horns that got broken off, is what he means.
Maybe. Nobody can know for sure. So the ram with the 2 horns. So there's a ram with 2 horns.
Yes.
One is longer than the other. It charges west, north, south, conquering everything. A goat unicorn.
Unigoat.
A unigoat. I like that. It's a new standard for text.
A flying unigoat, specifically.
Yeah.
This is what the original Pegasus was.
Yeah. Yeah. The goat unicorn appears from the west and attacks the ram, breaking its horns and trampling it. The goat becomes powerful, but the horn is broken and 4 smaller horns grow in its place. From one of these 4 horns, a small horn grows and becomes very powerful. The horn exalts itself, stopping daily sacrifices and desecrating the sanctuary. So you can figure out who that's about again.
Right.
It's
kind of weird thing. Like, what's going on in that brain? Why horns? Why is everything horny?
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
And little horns.
Pun intended,
too.
but like also, seriously.
Little horns that are arrogant.
Yeah. Like alive horns.
Yeah.
On the heads of animals.
Yeah. Which I'm just picturing like that. What was that? Orange. That was like early in meme culture.
Are you talking about
with the eyes? And
oh,
the mouth?
yeah. Angry Orange.
Is it Angry Orange? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like on these horns. So that's what I picture.
It's like when I can't remember, was it Family Guy where like he had like a pimple that came to life?
Are you talking about in Futurama when she had a boil that was like not Lisa Boyle, that singer from Britain's Got Talent?
Susan Boyle.
Susan Boyle.
No, it was like literally, I think in Family Guy or something, some cartoon where he had like a pimple. I think it was Chris. Had a pimple that was like sentient and was controlling his mind and telling him what to do.
That does sound kind of familiar. Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like people aren't listening to Daniel tell these dreams and are like an arrogant horn.
I know. I mean, like, imagine trying to like really break down this symbolism.
Right.
And shit. And it's like, especially when you don't know anything about what was going on when this was written.
Right.
So you don't know anything about Antiochus, maybe, or, you know, this Seleucid Empire, or that they were, you know, desecrating the temple and stuff. And you're like, it was probably about Caesar, you know, or something. Daniel is confused by the vision, so Gabriel is sent by God to explain its meaning.
Oh, the appearance of a named angel.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Pretty much the named angel.
Right.
Like, there's not a lot of other angels that get named besides Michael.
Right.
So Gabriel shows up. The ram with its 2 horns is explained to be the Medo-Persian Empire. The goat is the Greek Empire. The prominent horn is in this case is Alexander the Great.
Oh.
Actually. The breaking of the horn and the rise of 4 smaller ones represent the division of Alexander's empire into 4 parts after his death. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because Alexander, then the Seleucids. That's right. The small horn that grows out of one of these 4 horns is interpreted to represent a future ruler who will cause devastation. Oh, yeah. The small horn was still Antiochus. Yeah.
One has to wonder why God couldn't just tell him the meaning of that if he had to send an angel after the fact and be like, here's what your God vision meant?
No fucking shit, man.
Like,
like, seriously, what is up with all the cryptic shit? Like, just say it.
God's up in heaven. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you didn't understand my fucking horn metaphors?
Right.
Let me send down my guy. Explain it to you.
I mean, if the Bible is real, God is a shitty writer.
He's just a terrible communicator, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so Gabriel also explains that the vision pertains to the time of the end, meaning it has future significance, though the immediate focus is on Antiochus's persecution. The vision leaves Daniel exhausted and troubled because it foretells of a period of suffering and oppression for God's people. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the explanation, Gabriel says this to Daniel. Oh, yeah. This is, I thought was interesting. This is really telling when it comes to like that nobody is very that the people who say they're discerning about the Bible are not very discerning about the Bible.
Okay.
At the end of this, Gabriel says to Daniel, "As for you, seal up the vision, for it refers to many days from now." So it's not about the Babylonians or the Persians at all. It's about this one shitty ruler, Antiochus, years later, who was briefly in charge of Jerusalem, and who Daniel had no idea about, or anything like that. Had no idea they were ever going to exist. How do you not realize how suspicious it is to have seal this up for the future? This was obviously written later.
Right.
Yeah.
I find it suspicious that a named angel shows up in this story suddenly, because the whole rest of Daniel's story, it was always like God was kind of like this idea of a thing that was protecting him and his other guys.
Yeah, in the furnace, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're joined by an angel,
right, in
there, but they never named or anything.
Did it say angel, or did it just say something of God?
It might have said something of God. It was, and I don't think they even saw the angel. I think they just saw a fourth figure in the furnace with them, type of thing. They said it was an angel.
Direct interaction suddenly is just...
It's totally different.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. So, it's an example of talking about God and the supernatural differently than the folk stories, which were probably written by different people earlier.
Right.
Yeah. Chapter 9. Chapter 9 starts with Daniel praying to God, saying that he's been reading Jeremiah's writings, which talk about Israel needing to face desolation for 70 years. Sorry, we've been shitty and our leaders have been shitty. Please have mercy, that kind of a thing. So we're skipping all that and going to the end of the chapter. So Gabriel shows up again.
Okay.
And he says, 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish the transgression, to put an end to sin and to atone for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal both vision and prophet, and to anoint a most holy place. Know, therefore, and understand from the time that the word went out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the time of an anointed prince, there shall be 7 weeks, and for 62 weeks it shall be built again with streets and moat, but in a troubled time. After the 62 weeks, an anointed one shall be cut off and shall have nothing, and the troops of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Its end shall come with a flood, and to the end there shall be war. Desolations are decreed. He shall make a strong covenant with many for 1 week, and for half of the week he shall make sacrifice and offerings cease. And in their place shall be a desolating sacrilege until the decreed end is poured out upon the desolator. So Wikipedia says the 70 weeks of years mentioned in Daniel are divided into 3 groups: 49 years, 434 years, and 7 years. The first 49 years begin with a command to rebuild Jerusalem, and candidates for this.
Wait.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
The 70 weeks of years are divided. Say that again.
Yeah, I know. 70 weeks of years mentioned in Daniel are divided into 3 groups.
Okay.
49 years. 434 years.
Okay.
And 7 years.
What? What the fuck? What does that mean? I don't
know.
Even what? The math. That math is not mathing.
I know.
The 70 weeks of years.
So I'm just going to read through the Wikipedia take on it.
Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that my brain instantly, like you said it, and then my brain shut off because it was like, that doesn't...
Bullshit. Yeah. I know, your bullshit detector goes into overload and your brain is just like, why are we listening to this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It would be more productive to watch reality TV right now.
Yeah.
You know,
some good reality television.
Yeah. Like, I'm all for people reading the Bible, and I really do believe you should. But at the same time, I'm also like, there's better things to do with your life.
Yeah.
You know,
like watch 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Do something that's good for the rest of the world. Watch 90 Day Fiance.
Just to be clear, we don't watch that show. We just have friends who do.
Yeah. Watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
There we go.
There you go. You know. Let's see. So anyway.
Okay. So back to
Yeah. So the first 49 years begin with a command to rebuild Jerusalem, and candidates for this starting point include prophecies or decrees from figures like Jeremiah or Cyrus. So basically, you have a leader, either Jeremiah or Cyrus, I don't know, who say,
let's rebuild.
Jewish people can rebuild.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, you get like 49 years of them working on that. The anointed prince that arrives at the end of the period could be Cyrus, and there's good reason to think it is Cyrus, because Cyrus is referred to as the anointed one in other books, which I think we talked about. I think we talked about in Ezekiel that Cyrus is mentioned specifically as a Messiah.
Oh, right.
You know?
Yeah. Propaganda.
Right. Yeah. The next 434 years is the time when the city is rebuilt. Near the end, an anointed one is killed, often identified as High Priest Onias III, who was murdered around 171 or 170 BCE. Some scholars debate the accuracy of the timeline, suggesting it might not be exact or that there are overlapping periods. The prince to come, mentioned after the 434 years, is typically seen as Antiochus, although other figures have also been suggested. The prince's troops are said to destroy the city and sanctuary, but the text may be exaggerating, as the city wasn't literally destroyed, though it was rendered desolate. Somehow, now even Wikipedia is making me annoyed. I'm just really getting tired of reading, I think.
Yeah, that's why I asked if you wanted me to read it.
No, it's okay. My final note on this is, so basically no one knows for sure what this originally meant, and that's because so many things could fit these descriptions. Right. So, yeah, what exactly is he talking about? We don't know. He should have said it clearer. You know?
Well, yeah, but when you make things ambiguous,
they sell.
they sell, yes, you can apply it to a number of things, and it lasts for a long time because it can be reinterpreted over and over and over and over again.
Right. And like we've said before, this is a genre, of writings that people wanted to sell, All right. So the final bit of this is covering chapters 10, 11, and 12. It's the final vision.
Okay.
The previous chapters were pretty self-contained, but these are really all just meant as one piece. So it kicks off with, in the 3rd year of King Cyrus of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. The word was true. That wasn't the word, but the word was true.
Oh.
But the word was true.
The word that was revealed to him was a true word.
Apparently.
Okay.
It's a true word, as opposed to a false word.
Right.
The word was true, and it concerned a great conflict. He understood the word, having received understanding in the vision. At that time, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 weeks. I had eaten no rich food, no meat or wine had entered my mouth, and I had not anointed myself at all for the full 3 weeks.
That's what I'm going to start calling masturbation.
I had not
anointing myself.
Yeah.
Let's start a trend, guys.
That's probably what he's referring to.
Hashtag anoint myself.
I don't think they ever do explicitly explain what anointing is.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it's not masturbating.
I mean, it literally could be anything. Yeah. Bathing, oiling.
I'm sure yeah. On the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is the Tigris, I looked up and saw a man clothed in linen with a belt of gold from Euphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl. His face was like lightning. His eyes like flaming torches. His arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his words like the roar of a multitude. I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. The people who were with me did not see the vision, though a great trembling fell upon them, and they fled and hid themselves. So I was left alone to see this great vision. My strength left me, and my complexion grew deathly pale, and I retained no strength. When I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a trance, face to the ground.
I mean, it just sounds like maybe Daniel might be suffering
from delusions,
from schizophrenia. Yeah. And the reason why everybody else ran away is maybe he is a violent schizophrenic.
Right.
And they weren't scared of nothing. They were scared of Daniel. And because he was having a hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
I would run away from a...
Little horns! Little horns!
You guys see that guy?
Yeah.
Do you guys see that guy? You don't see that guy? Guys, there's a guy. You don't fucking see the guy.
Which guy? That guy.
He's got a gold belt from Euphraz or wherever the fuck it was.
The lightning face guy.
Right. The one with a body like a barrel.
Body like barrel. Yeah. I think barrel is a stone.
Oh, I assumed he was barrel shaped.
No.
And you had just forgotten to say a word.
Beryl.
Oh, okay.
Beryl.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then it goes on. But then a hand touched me and roused me to my hands and knees. Oh.
Are we too dirty?
Yeah. Right. It's the only thing you can do to make this interesting. He said to me, Daniel, greatly beloved, pay attention to the words that I am going to speak to you. Stand on your feet, for I have now been sent to you. So while he was speaking this word to me, I stood up trembling. He said to me, Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me 21 days. So Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I left him there with the prince of the kingdom of Persia, and have come to help you understand what is going to happen to your people at the end of days. For there is a further vision for those days. While he was speaking these words to me, I turned my face toward the ground and was speechless. Then one in human form touched my lips, and I opened my mouth to speak and said to the one who stood before me, My Lord, because of the vision, such pains have come upon me that I retain no strength. How can my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For I am exhausted. No strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. Again, one in human form touched me and strengthened me. He said, Do not fear, greatly beloved, you are safe, be strong and courageous. Then when he spoke to me, I was strengthened. He said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Do you know why I have come to you? Blah, blah, blah. Prince of Persia. Greece will come. Michael is your prince. Blah, blah, blah. So
we've fallen a long way from your pre-taped readings with the background music to you just skipping over large swaths of the reading by saying blah, blah, blah.
I know. But really, this was why I didn't even do the pre-recorded stuff, too. It was like, fucking, how long am I going to spend on, like, doing this pre-recorded shit?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So his vision
like,
talks.
And really, I, like, when I say that, I'm kind of like, because this stuff specifically that we're covering is like this, where it's like, I feel like it was different when we were going through different books of the Bible.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the vision starts talking to him.
The vision starts talking to him.
And telling him he's going to tell him about the end of days for his people.
Right.
But then I got confused.
You did?
Because he was talking about the Prince of Persia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ignoring him for 21 days.
Michael being a prince.
And so we sent Michael.
Yeah.
To be there with the prince instead.
Right.
So that he could come talk to Daniel. So are these they're angels? Yes?
Yes.
So Michael the angel.
Yes.
Is with the Prince of Persia.
Right.
So that Gabriel.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though, is actually the Prince of Persia is not like a human prince, because Michael is also called a prince in this, right?
Okay.
So the Prince of Persia is a different angel. It's an angel that's over Persia.
Oh.
It's Persia's angel. And Michael is Jerusalem's angel.
Oh.
So all these, and that's what this thing is saying. And that's what I was kind of getting to with this, was like, this is opening up this idea of every land
having their own angel,
has its own angel that's in charge of it.
Like a god?
Yeah, but then they'll go to war with each other.
Oh.
And so, when you really think that through theologically, that means that it's not that they're angels, it's that they're gods.
Right, they're the balls.
Yes,
yeah.
They're the balls
of
these different areas.
Yeah.
And so, they demonize the ones that they don't like, literally.
Yeah.
And like, okay, those angels are bad angels,
right?
For those lands. So, it's you can see how like they got there from the polytheism,
right?
Right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of like trying to make polytheistic stories look more monotheistic,
right? Because it's underlings of God.
Yeah.
Not gods themselves.
Right.
But if they're...
but it's stemming from stories of like multiple gods.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But if they're all angels...
Right.
They're all under God.
You would think, except some angels aren't. You know, I mean, that's the other thing, though, is like, yeah, Jewish people don't really have demons. I don't recall any demons in Judaism.
I mean, isn't there's Satan?
Yeah, but Satan's not really a demon. Satan is like Satan in
is
Job,
an angel. A fallen angel. Do they say he's a fallen angel? He's just a guy.
Fallen angel. That's the thing.
He's just a guy.
Well, he's an advisor to God, right?
Yeah.
He's an angel, but he's not fallen. In Job, he's the Satan was the adversary. Right. You know, and then like in Genesis, the serpent,
right,
never mentioned to actually be Satan,
right,
or anything. That was just a serpent, you know,
right.
So Wikipedia has this to say about it. The report of the vision, the angel continues. There will be 4 kings of Persia, and the last will make war on Greece. After him will come a great king, but the king's empire will be broken up, which we've talked about all this shit before. At the end of time, there will be war between the king of the south and the north. Blah, blah, blah.
Don't blah, blah, blah this.
I'm just, it's like, it's all shit we've talked about. Like, at the end of time,
but he literally says the end of days. And I want to understand how people are extrapolating what the fuck he's saying to make it not something that's happened already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people are using these stories to be like, to try and figure out when the end of days are going to be. But to me, it sounds very clearly that they're talking about that very fucking specific part of time.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. Yeah. Nothing in this is really about the end of days. Yeah. So, the report of at the end of time, there will be a war between the king of the south and the king of the north, and the king of the north will meet his end between the sea and the holy mountain. So there's this book that we've talked about before, the book of Enoch, the first book of which was called The Watchers, and more writings claiming to be part of this came later and everything. But that talks about angels as like more similar to this.
Okay.
Like in a way that's a little bit more similar to this. So it might be that it kind of had an influence on this writing, right?
Gotcha.
That's right. And then it says in Genesis 5, when Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after the birth of Methuselah 300 years and had sons. Thus, all the days of Enoch were 365. Enoch walked with God and then was no more because God took him. So that was like how he was the only person to have never died.
Right. God took him.
Because God took him.
Yeah, except we say God takes people now all the time.
Right.
Referring to them dying.
That refers to them dying. Yeah. The Enoch never died. God just took him.
Methuselah.
And then somebody wrote the book of Enoch, which was like, well, what happened to him?
Oh,
this is an interesting note that I made here about the names of the archangels entered Jewish tradition during the Babylonian captivity. Babylonian folklore and cosmology and early Mesopotamian beliefs influenced by Zoroastrianism. Daniel and Ezekiel Hebraized, this is Wikipedia's word. This is not mine, but like Hebrewised, basically, this mythology, equating the Babylonian constellations with abstract forms held to be sons of the gods, angels of the Lord of Israel, and heavenly animal cherubim. So which is an interesting thing when you think about like, were there 12, like the astrological symbols, Mm-hmm. There are 12 angels? I don't know.
12 archangels?
Yeah, maybe. Is that why they're archangels? Because they go in an arc across the sky?
It's not the same kind of arc.
Oh.
Like archetype, not like arc of a line.
Oh. And not like an arc like a boat.
Right.
No.
Too many different arcs.
So many arcs. Arc. Anyway, Daniel 12. At that time, Michael, the great prince, the protector of your people, shall arise. There shall be a time of anguish such as has never occurred since nations first came into existence. But at that time, your people shall be delivered. Everyone who is found written in the book. Delivering everybody written in the book. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky, and those who lead the many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, keep the words secret and the book sealed until the time of the end. 2,000 years ago. Many shall be running back and forth, and evil shall increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, so that was the angel talking or whatever it is. Then I, Daniel, looked, and two others appeared, one standing on this bank of the stream and one on the other. One of them said to the man clothed in linen who was upstream, how long shall it be until the end of these wonders? The man clothed in linen who was, again, upstream, raised his right hand and his left hand toward heaven. He raised both his hands.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they didn't have the word both back.
I guess not. And I heard him swear by the one who lives forever that it would be for a time, 2 times, and half a time, and that when the shattering of the power of the holy people comes to an end, all these things would be accomplished. I heard, but could not understand. So I said, my Lord, what shall be the outcome of these things? He said, go your way, Daniel, for the words are to remain secret and sealed until the time of the end. Many shall be purified, cleansed, and refined, but the wicked shall continue to act wickedly. None of the wicked shall understand, but those who are wise shall understand. From the time that the regular burnt offering is taken away and the desolating sacrilege is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Happy are those who preserve and attain the 1,335 days. But you go your way and rest. You shall rise for your reward at the end of the days. And that's the end of the chapter.
Okay.
And that's the end of the book.
And that's how the book ends?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, like, there is a lot of imagery in there that I think get used by, like, the end of times peoples.
Yeah.
So clearly it talks about people being brought back from the dead.
Yeah, so which is...
to go to either heaven or hell.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great resurrection, which is something that does get talked about. Jesus, when we talked through the Gospels, Jesus seems to believe in a great resurrection where everybody's just going to be resurrected from the dead one day. And, you know, you don't immediately go to heaven like we think of today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is, so that idea. So, and we've talked about this before too. You got to just start editing that out whenever I say that. The, you know, people would ask priests and stuff like, well, what about my dad who just died? He was really like looking forward to the day of the Lord, you know? And so priests end up needing to be like, well, the dead will come back for that when that happens. You know, it's like, so that way when you're waiting 2,000 years for it to happen, you know, you have something to tell people along the way of like, oh yeah, but when it does happen, the people you know who have died, they'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as they're in the book.
Yeah, I guess
that Daniel has.
The angel person has maybe.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's not real.
No, I know. I'm just trying to like, because seriously though,
Yeah.
like, you know, when end of timers, because not every fucking Christian believes in like the end of the world sort of scenario, right? Like there are people who do and people who don't.
Yeah, I mean, like if you call them Christian, I get judgmental about that kind of stuff because it really like anybody who says they're a Christian, you know.
I know,
but like it's like there are people who do that, but they also don't believe, you know. Anyway, yes, what were you saying?
I don't know. You interrupted me and I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
I know you've read this all before.
Mm-hmm.
But like, again, I have to remind you the whole purpose of this podcast is that I'm hearing this for the first time.
I know you are. I'm reading it and I'm like, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. None of this makes any fucking sense.
Did you read this when you were younger? Did you read the book of Daniel? I had to have. I
don't know if I ever actually sat down and read. If I did, it was like reading the Daniel in Lion's Den or, you know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego one is in the book of children's stories for the Jehovah's Witnesses. You know,
nice.
So yeah.
Right on. So it's illustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, I don't remember reading the prophecies.
Yeah. Well, most of it seems like bullshit until you get to this to be clear, it all seems like bullshit to me.
Yeah.
But most of it seems to like be not pertinent to anything until the last chapter.
Right.
And if people focus in on that last chapter and kind of ignore everything else that has been said in this story so far, then like you could literally just extrapolate that to mean like at any point this could happen. Even though he says a certain number of days.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get into the like, well, he didn't mean days.
Yeah, exactly.
He meant angel days, which are like 100 years.
Yeah. Kind of like dog years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And there will be a judgment, and the people who are in the book, who I assume are the good people, will ascend to, it doesn't even say heaven, it just says glory or
right. And
will shine like stars or some bullshit like that. And then the other people will live in shame.
Right. So those are the people who are going to go to hell.
Right. Yeah.
Which again was not really a thing in Judaism. So like we're assuming it's going to be heaven and hell, but that's not what they're saying.
Right.
Either.
No, you're either going to shine like a star or live in shame.
Yeah. And it's important to point that out, like, because this is what you do when you're a Christian is you go into this and you bring all the Christian bullshit
to it
with it. Yeah. And you read into it and have it say something that it's not really saying.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point that I'm making. Sorry, I just realized that's what I was saying. But it's not actually saying that heaven or hell. Right.
And the other thing it kind of calls out is like those who are wise, so those who are good, who follow, will understand, and those who are wicked will not. So it's very easy. I think it's easy for people, not just Christians, but Christians, to maybe take people like us and be like, well, you just don't understand, and you're probably not going to be saved, and you're not going to be whatever you call it, ascending to heaven or fucking raptured. Yes. It's clear you won't be because you don't understand, therefore you must be wicked.
Right. And to me, it's clear that they won't be because it's not real.
Right. Yeah, but what I'm
much like my grandfather who recently died and was like, I just can't believe Armageddon didn't happen in my lifetime. You know, it was like, Yeah.
Yeah, you were an asshole to your child
for no good reason.
her whole life.
Yeah.
And now you're dead.
Right.
And you didn't
because
get
it
to
was
see
all
the rapture.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah Witnesses,
Jehovah Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
The Jehos.
Do they believe in like the dead coming back? Like, do they believe in the resurrection?
They specifically believe in, like while everybody else has decided that we go straight to heaven when we die.
Mm-hmm.
Jehovah's Witnesses believe in a great resurrection,
right?
But they don't believe, because they don't read their Bibles, I guess, that they don't believe that the evil people are going to be rose again.
Oh,
they think it's just Jehovah's Witnesses that are going to come back.
Right.
You know,
you could totally see, because they do call out like two separate groups of people in like the people who are the good people. They call out like.
Are you talking about the 144,000?
Yeah, but here in this, they do actually like make a separation between two groups, and like they're like the wisest will shine like the stars in the sky.
Right.
So they do. You could.
So you could say that the 144,000 are the wisest, shining like the star in the sky.
Yeah.
The shame ones probably aren't like going to be the ones that are alive.
No, but
yeah.
But they do. They I can't remember what it says specifically, but it literally calls out like two groups of good people, where they'll shine. You'll have to find it, read it.
Any of those who sleep in the dust, blah blah blah. I didn't know. Two others appeared. One standing on the race.
It was before the two others, I thought.
Was it before? Those who are wise shall shine with the brightness of the sky, and those who lead the many to righteousness.
Yes. Two groups.
Like the stars forever and ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they call out the two groups of people there specifically.
Yeah, and if you want that to be a thing, you can make that
a thing.
You can make
it 144,000 are
and
the
then,
leaders,
like, the good people,
and then
the good Jehovah's Witnesses, but that weren't that good.
Right, they weren't the leaders.
Yeah,
yes,
they weren't, and it wasn't even leaders. It was those are the ones that are sinless
in Jehovah's Witness. Speak.
Yeah, the 144,000.
Which my guess is all men. All leaders.
Right.
Like if you ask them to actually narrow it down, I bet you most of them would be like, well, it's the elders.
Yeah.
Which are all men.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sinless, I don't know.
And who knows if they even still fucking think that.
Right.
Like I heard recently that my mom told us that they stopped disfellowshipping.
Yes.
And it's like, well, what the fuck are you guys doing even?
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, they call it, I mean, their website is like jw.org now. And
they go more by jw.org.
Yeah. We're with jw.org. And it's like, listen, bitches, we know what that stands for.
Yeah. Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah. So anyway, I have a thing here. The words are to remain secret and sealed until the time of the end. So the story apparently is that they had to seal these accounts until after the shit happens and the end of days begins, right?
Mm-hmm.
A few hundred years later, they unseal this.
Mm-hmm.
The end doesn't come. Jesus shows up and the end doesn't come.
Mm-hmm.
The temple is destroyed by the Romans and the end doesn't come. 2,000 more years pass, but we are still meant to believe that the end time started before Jesus even showed up.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to point out to you is this is where a lot of you remember like all the predictions of the end times that are based on people crunching all these numbers and figuring out like, oh, I did the math wrong. It's actually going to be next year on this day. You know, all that stuff. This is where they get the numbers, right? Is from Daniel and these fucking weeks of years and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you can decipher that in all these different ways and whatever way you want.
Right.
And I didn't give myself any context to this, but in Wikipedia it says P.R. Davies suggests the text in chapters 10 through 12 is poor Hebrew and may represent a rather poor translation from an Aramaic original. The unit begins with the third person introduction, then switches to Daniel speaking in his own voice as one of the two primary characters, his angelic partner being the second. This is probably the angel Gabriel, although he is never identified. Then follows Daniel 11, the Book of Truth. Much of, I guess it's like called the Book of Truth. Much of the history it recounts is accurate down to the two successive Syrian invasions of Egypt in 170 and 168 BCE. But there was no third war between Egypt and Syria, and Antiochus did not die in Palestine. The failure of prophecy helps pinpoint the date of composition. The author knows that the desecration of the temple in December of 167, but not of its rededication or of the death of Antiochus, both in late 164. The countdown of days remaining to the end time in Daniel 12, 11 and 12 differs from that in Daniel 8, and it was most likely added after the original prediction failed to come to pass. Anyway, yeah, this is my little wrap-up bit on here is the so-called end times prophecies in the Old Testament aren't about the end times at all. They're about God giving the land back from their enemies, whoever they were at the time, to the Judahites permanently. And I do mean the Judahites specifically, not the northern Israelites. None of these are actually about the end of the world.
Right.
We talked about.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. That's fucking it. Happy fucking Easter.
They all lived miserably ever after.
They did. I don't know. Anything else?
I don't have anything to add to that. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Daniel kind of sucks.
I mean,
This
it's
book
just,
sucks.
yeah. And I don't really ever hear anybody talk about Daniel
Yeah.
in like the circles I run in.
Right.
I don't hear most people talk about the Bible at all, but the religious people I've grown up around and stuff, this wasn't really a Bible or a book that people talked about, except for like the lion's den of it all.
Yeah, the folk stories.
Yeah.
One of the things I always remembered was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I couldn't remember the story at all about them, hardly.
In the furnace?
In the furnace. Like, I remember that you got thrown into a furnace. That was all I remembered. But I always remembered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I always loved that, like, since I was a little kid.
Yeah, they sounds like superhero names.
Yeah, and it just kind of is a little alliterative, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah.
There's a poetic rhyme to it. Anyway. Blah.
Blah indeed.
So yeah, hopefully the next one gets better.
What's the next one?
We're moving into the New Testament. Nope. We're gonna go to Paul next.
Oh.
And then Revelation.
Paul, who was Saul?
Yes.
I thought we did Paul.
We did, but we're gonna talk about what did Paul say about the end times.
Oh.
Because Paul came before Revelation.
Okay.
So since we're looking at how it evolves over time.
Yeah. Did we cut? So there is no book of Paul, right?
No, nope.
But
so
he did.
He wrote a bunch of letters called the epistles.
Yes.
Of Paul. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's what we're going to be covering.
Okay.
It's like these different sections. It's not going to be like any one book or anything like that.
Okay.
It's just sections from different books talking about what he had to say about the end times.
And then Revelation.
Yeah.
The medalist book of the Bible, supposedly.
Right up there with Ezekiel, at least.
Yeah. Ezekiel was pretty wacky.
Yeah.
Do they talk about the mark of the beast in Revelations?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Antichrist and all that stuff.
Fun stuff.
Right.
So excited to get to that one in particular.
Yeah. That's going to be a long one.
I think
that's going to be multiple parts.
Yeah. I think the thing with, especially with doing Daniel after doing Ezekiel, is that who we did?
Yeah.
Right before Daniel?
Correct.
Ezekiel was so wacky.
Yeah.
And like kept you engaged because it was very wacky, but like whoever wrote that did a way better job selling their wackiness than whoever wrote Daniel.
Right. Yeah.
Daniel and
I mean, he was talking about like cutting off his own hair and like swatting at it with a sword all around the city and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, fucking go for it.
Right. You know? Some God bondage.
Daniel's talking about how every country has its own angel prince, and I'm just like, fucking who cares?
Well, and it's just so like badly written and boring, and it is the same stuff kind of. Like he's got a couple standout stories, but for the most part, it's the same shit over and over and over again. Yeah,
like several of those visions were repeat prophecies. Yeah, and it's like, why the fuck did you do multiple?
I mean, the best one out there of the prophecies specifically was the goat and the ram, the unigoat.
The unigoat.
That's the only thing I can remember is the unigoat running full speed with his horn at the ram.
Yeah.
And busting the horns off the ram and busting off his own horn and then growing 4 more horns and then a tiny little horn that talks.
Yeah.
I'm arrogant.
I have all the best words.
So anyway, yeah.
Then he deports the other horns.
Yeah. But it could be why Daniel is easier to use in terms of like spreading the idea of the end times, because if you start talking about Ezekiel, people are going to be like, what the fuck are you saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas people, if they especially focus in on that last chapter of Daniel, well, it's much easier to explain.
Yeah. Or even like, you know, like I said, when it comes to proving that the Bible is supernatural, you know, you can point to the one about the golden head and the arms of bronze or whatever, you know, on down to the feet of clay and iron. Yeah. You can look at that and you can tell people, oh, the feet of clay and iron, that's about the Roman Empire, and it came hundreds of years later. And it's like, how could they ever possibly have known that and all that?
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, that is tough to get around, and then just not tell them like, actually, that's not what they were talking about.
Yeah, we just redefined what it stood for.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they all live miserably ever after. Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. Help us grow the audience by sharing us with your friends or giving us a share on social media. And we love hearing from you. You can reach out on our website at bsfa.cc. Just so you know, we are recording.
That's okay. I don't feel bad about it.
I figured you did it. I just wanted the judge to know.
If we flush it down the toilet, it goes into the water table, and a lot of people end up taking it. So I don't see what the fucking difference is.